Shut the f up. I don't give a f, dude. Look at this. Look at this. He's fighting a professional boxer.
Jake Paul gets badly exposed by Joe Rogan for meeting up with a referee who's as corrupt as a $3 bill. And get this, the referee is corrupt because of Jake himself. Yep, our boy Jake actually reached out to this ref to fix a fight. What happens next is a wild ride, but once Joe Rogan spilled the beans with some juicy evidence, Jake started sweating bullets. He even cried on a podcast claiming we're all accusing him of something he didn't do. But guess what? This video has the receipts. Proof of which fight was rigged, who the shady ref was, and even video evidence. Just when the hype of Mike versus Paul was reaching fever pitch, Jake pulls a fast one and cancels the fight. Boom. Confusion everywhere. Fans who were all set with their popcorn were left scratching their heads, wondering what just happened. Social media exploded with theories. Some folks thought it was just another one of Jake's publicity stunts, while others suspected something shadier was going on because Mike has recently announced a rescheduled date, as he said. Joe Rogan just went to town on Jake Paul after a shocking knockout in a sparring session. From the get-go, Rogan hasn't been a big fan of Paul and his loudmouth approach. The UFC commentator has been sending the YouTuber-turned-boxer some brutal warnings, but Jake, being Jake, has been ignoring them all. But this time, it has all come back to him like a punch in the face. You know what they say? You don't ignore Rogan's words. He's seen it all. If you're a fan of the fight game or just love a good celebrity showdown, you're going to want to stick around for this one. All right, let's set the stage first. Joe Rogan is known for his no-holds-barred opinions, and the fight world doesn't take him lightly due to his deep knowledge of boxing and MMA. This guy really knows what he's talking about, and that's not something you ignore. Well, tell that to Jake, because that's all this guy has been doing. The problem child has switched to boxing after a successful career as a YouTuber and former Disney star. Love him or hate him, he's made a name for himself in the boxing community. But his best weapon so far has been his brash comments. Yeah, he's got a knack for stirring up controversy by firing shots at the biggest names in the game. Jake's been very public about his intense career switch and shares all elements of boxing with his fans. Yeah. You can look up dozens of videos of him training and sparring, but his latest sparring video has really taken the fight world by storm. So what exactly went down in this sparring session that has everyone talking? It's serious because it even warranted a reaction from Joe Rogan, a brutal reaction. In the video, you can see Jake Paul looking confident and then bam! He's wobbling like he just got done with the world's hardest leg day. Now, every fighter has seen bad days during training, right? While sparring fails are usually kept private, this one somehow made its way into the public eye, and the footage has been making the rounds on social media. Now, here's the thing. Jake is set to step in the ring for two of the toughest fights of his career. The YouTuber-turned-boxer is scheduled to fight Mike Perry on July 20th, and then his highly anticipated clash with Mike Tyson on November 15th at the AT&T Arena. Both these opponents will pose some real challenge in the ring, and it will be like nothing he's faced before. These are some real fights. Boxing isn't just a game. If you're not 100% prepared, you're going to get hurt. This isn't some YouTube prank. It's real life, and Jake needs to understand that. Let's jump to Rogan's reaction. Don't get me wrong, the UFC commentator isn't a hater. He gives the problem child credit where it's due. You can't deny that Jake has given us some epic knockouts. I'm sure you've seen his fights with Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren.
Paul can crack.
Yeah.
100%. That knockout of Tyron Woodley is legit as fuck. He can crack.
However, he's in deep waters after his recent sparring mishap. Take it from Rogan. The kid has worked hard and he's taken on some tough opponents. But this knockout, this is a wake-up call. There's a big difference between fighting other celebrities or retired athletes and stepping into the ring with a real seasoned professional boxer. Jake needs to understand that. Come on, you can't compare fighting Mike Tyson to a fight with Tommy Fury or Nate Diaz. He's up against the baddest man on the planet this time, and that's not something you can rule out. Rogan's recent verbal jabs at Jake Paul's approach to training and fighting have everyone talking. The UFC commentator believes that Jake might be getting too cocky and not respecting the sport enough. Well, he's not alone because fans have noticed this too. Paul hasn't taken his fight with Tyson seriously even for a second ever since it was announced. He's treating this like he's stepping into the ring with a newbie. You and I both know Jake's got a problem with crossing that overconfidence line, but this time he has really taken things too far.
Do you think you can knock him out?
Can I ask you a question?
I think there's a very high chance of that.
You think you can knock out Mike Tyson?
He's not the same. He's not the same fighter that he once was, and he knows that.
Stop it, bro.
Alex, you think you could beat up every white guy? What are you talking about?
I think it's a great fight. I think it is a great fight for that exact reason. Me boxing on the outside, him trying to come forward to knock me out. I have one punch power. He has one punch power. Who wins?
When you've got a room full of people telling you to take Mike seriously, you take Mike seriously, Jake. Yeah, because the 57-year-old, on the other hand, is gearing up like a beast. There's a reason why Mike's considered the best boxer of all time. He's got a champion's mindset, which means he gives every single fight his blood, sweat, and tears, no matter who the opponent is. Even in a clash with Jake Paul, he's training like he's a newbie getting ready for his debut. I mean, take a look for yourself. Iron Mike isn't here to play.
Day 2, we're getting ready for you.
That's a dangerous man right there. Mike's training footage compared to Jake's sparring fail is a wake-up call for the YouTuber turned boxer, to say the least. This performance has raised a lot of eyebrows in the fight world, and boxing pros are hopping on the bandwagon to share their 2 cents on the whole fiasco. Very few have praised Jake Paul for finally stepping in with tough opponents, while many others are on the same page as Rogan and believe that Jake might be in over his head. UFC president Dana White always has something to say about Jake, and he has weighed in. White has been against the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul matchup since day one. He's a strong believer that Mike should stay out of the ring for good and respect his age. He believes that Paul is making a dirty move by not only challenging, but stepping into the ring with Mike, who will be 58 by the time this fight sees the light of day.
Jake fought a guy who was his age and was also considered a boxer, and he lost. So if you can keep fighting fucking 50-something-year-olds...
You don't think Tyson has a chance?
And making a living at it. I think that Mike Tyson has a puncher's chance against any...
Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather, who has had his own back and forth with Jake Paul, shared his take on the scenario too. I've said it before and I'll say it again. There's levels to this sport. Jake needs to understand that he's not at the top level yet. Money Mayweather likes to stay out of the drama as much as he can, but he couldn't keep his opinion about Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul to himself. This mismatched clash has everyone talking. And due to the overhype, a lot of people are forgetting that Jake's got another hurdle to cross before he puts up gloves against Tyson. This guy is fighting Mike Perry in a couple of weeks, and this fight is going to be a close one. I know what you're thinking. Paul is a clear top dog in this match, so how much worse could it possibly be? Well, here's the thing. Mike Perry isn't 58. He's a 32-year-old athlete in his prime, and that brings a lot to the table. Jake hasn't fought an athlete close to his age in quite some time, so this one can really pose some real challenge in the ring. If you haven't been up to speed, let me fill you in with everything you need to know about Mike Perry.
Short elbow there. Boom. He is explosive. He's learning. He's getting better.
Mike is a former UFC star with a record of 14-8-0, but bare knuckle is where he truly shines and dominates the game. Platinum is undefeated in bare knuckle with a record of 5-0. And it's safe to say that he's easily the league's biggest star. Now, if you're wondering about his boxing record, he's only ever stepped into the ring once against Kenneth McNeil and failed to come out on top. But that doesn't change anything, because if there's anyone who can pull off an upset, it's Perry.
And I'm gonna knock the teeth out of his mouth. Jake, I'll beat your ass, bitch. July 20th. Come and see it. Emily Arena, Tampa, Florida. Days in pay-per-view.
Perry had initially wanted to challenge Paul in a bare knuckle fight, but Paul declined the offer and went for a traditional fight instead. Of course, that doesn't change anything, because Perry's still confident he can knock the man out cold. Jake Paul believes that Perry's going to be easy work and that he's going to get a good win to cement his status as a legitimate boxer before he steps into the ring with Tyson for the biggest fight of his career. But former MMA star Michael Bisping has got a whole different point of view. He believes that Jake's making a big mistake underestimating Perry's ability in the ring.
Mike Perry is a fighter. Mike Perry wasn't necessarily the best jiu-jitsu artist or had the best wrestling, but there's not a fight that Mike Perry won't take. I've spoken to Mike Perry on several occasions, and he is the epitome of a real fighter. And he's an absolute star in the bare knuckle organization. But Jake Paul, I think he's made a tremendous mistake here, because he's a real fighter. He's going to get in shape. He's not afraid to mix it up, and he's going to go right at Jake Paul.
Sean O'Malley has shared his take on the upcoming fight, and he believes it's going to be a tough one.
Mike Perry versus Jake Paul. I think it's more of a competitive match. I think Tyson was just a little bit too, aged, weathered. But I think Mike Perry versus Jake Paul is a very, very interesting, very competitive fight. I think it would be the most competitive fight Jake's had outside of the Tommy Fury fight. I would be very interested to seeing it, and I'm excited to see it. I think it's actually happening July 20th, and I don't know where, but I want to go. I think, God dang it, that's actually a tough fight to predict, because Mike's in it, but he's in bare knuckle. It is a different sport, different size space to fight it, different range. It's it's very similar but very different. Jake's been boxing.
Peru is hoping to send Paul crashing onto the canvas to ruin the chances of him fighting Tyson. And I'm here for the beef. He revealed in an interview with Michael Bisping, I'm trying to ruin that whole thing for him. See if they offer it to me after I knock Jake out and be like, hey, do you want to fight Mike Tyson on Netflix? That's the real win here if I can stop that. But I don't want it to hurt Mike's pockets either. It's clear that Perry took this opportunity to fight Paul just to blow up the YouTuber turned boxer's future plans. That's some real hatred right there. July 20th is about to be one hell of a day because a lot of things are at risk here. And only a clash between the two can settle the score for once and for all. As for Jake, he's got a lot to train for after that humiliating sparring video. Losing to Perry will be a huge setback for the star, so he really needs to get his game now. I guess we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. If I were Jake, I would take Joe Rogan's words seriously and hit the gym more often. So there you go, Fight World, that's all I have for you today. What do you think about this whole situation? Do you agree with Joe Rogan's comments? Or do you think he's being too harsh on Jake Paul? Fill the comment section with your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more boxing news. See you in the next video.